Now, this morning, we turn our spotlight on Nigeria's migration, a complex tapestry of hope, resilience, and challenge. With over 3.5 million internally displaced persons, the highest in Africa, Nigeria faces one of the continent's most significant humanitarian crises. Conflict, climate change, and economic instability are driving migration within and beyond our borders, creating ripple effects that touch every aspect of our nation.
Now, in Borno State alone, IDP camps house over 1.6 million people, many of whom have fled violence from insurgent groups. Across the country, approximately 60% of displaced persons are women and children, who remain most vulnerable to poverty, lack of education, and healthcare challenges. Yet, beyond the statistics, there are stories of survival, innovation, and communities finding ways to rebuild despite adversity. Now, this morning, we will explore solutions to ensure migration becomes a story of opportunity, not despair. Joining us are the distinguished guest, Mr. Aliyu Tijani Ahmed, Honorable Federal Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. We're also joined this morning by human rights advocate known for amplifying the voices of migrants with a global, regional, and national experience working with cross-border teams on migration on 4 continents, which has yielded clear, quantifiable improvements in migration policy. Unfortunately, we have reports that, we would love for her to join us, but she's not yet here. We're hoping that we probably can connect with her before the end of the conversation. But we're joined as well by global disability rights advocate and a leading expert in diversity, equity, and inclusion, the CEO and founder of TAF Africa, Mr. Epelle. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right. Honorable Commissioner, I will begin the conversation with you. If you may please give us what would be a picture of what our situation is. You work with the refugees. What really is the picture on the inside?
Okay. There might be some delay, with the sound to the Honorable Commissioner. But, while we try to get that sorted, we're going to start with Epelle this morning, just to also get, your view. The numbers are staggering, and you would expect that over time, in the last maybe 10 years, that Nigeria would have taken deliberate and, steps towards reducing the number of, Nigerians living in IDP camps across the country. And it's not just in northern Nigeria, even in the southern part of the country, there are, existing IDP camps. So, Ms. Epelle, kindly share with us, what steps have been taken and what the current situation, still is.
Thank you very much. It's often said that everything rises and falls on leadership. I think the previous leadership that tried to manage this situation, I would say weren't very capable enough, very informed, and strategic in terms of implementing measures that will stem the tide of some of the issues that you mentioned, whether it's IDP or issues around migration. I believe that there are 2 leaders right now that are handling the situation, the Minister for Humanitarian and the Honorable Commissioner, Federal Commissioner, that we were having technical issues or glitches that he was not able to speak. Both of them I have interacted with, I have shared thoughts with, and I believe that both of them have the requisite strategy to prefer a solution. And taking into cognizance some of the things that they have shared with me and some of the things that I've shared with them, I believe that they are capable of rejigging the situation, turning it around for good. It is an enormous problem in the hands of the Ministry of Humanitarian and the Federal Commissioner. But I believe that they are capable because leaders solve problems. And I believe these 2 gentlemen have the experience and the skills to find a lasting solution, whether it's the issue of poverty alleviation or IDP, and all the issues around migration. Migration is very key. The issues are very key, and the discussion that you're bringing right now, I think you're one of the first media house that is throwing light on this, because there is what is called the Rabat process, which is some form of management procedure that is established and overseen by International Migration Organization. Nigeria will take over the leadership in a few days from now in Portugal. The Minister for Humanitarian being the one that will be in the leadership position to implement most of the agreement that Nigeria have had as it concerns migration. Don't forget that 3.6% of the entire world population within the framework of migration, and billions of dollars transact between Nigerians and diaspora and what they repatriate home. So there is the good side of it. But one of the aspects amongst the very many aspects that you mentioned, which are true, is visa restriction. Visa restriction and the process of obtaining visa is one of the push factors when it comes to issue of migration. And in a couple of days, we're tweaking and looking at a possible roundtable discussion on visa restrictions and what will make it possible for embassies to effectively, without compromise, engage Nigerians and give them visa when they need it, especially those of them that will go and come back. The issue of irregular migration is endemic. It's a problem, both in the hand of the UN system and the countries, either countries of destination or the countries from where they move from. So these are issues that both that Nigerian and international community needs to sit down and find a lasting solution. Of course, economic situation in countries like Nigeria has further fueled the need for people to just move to other countries, what we call the Japa syndrome. So these are some of the issues, and I'm glad that organization like yours, your station, is helping in ensuring there is proper information and strategic advocacy to help give the right perspective, whether it's information or implementation of whatever measures that Ministry of Humanitarian and the Commission are embarking on.
All right. Thank you very much for that very extensive explanation. Let's now bring in the Honorable Commissioner into the conversation. Earlier, I had asked about what the true picture is. The statistics are there. They tell us about 1.6 million people, internally displaced persons in Borno State. But beyond the numbers, what is the true picture of what the current situation is, especially in our internally displaced persons camp? Oh, it doesn't seem like Honorable Tijani Ahmed can hear, but I'll pose the same question to Mr. Epelle. I believe that, I don't know if I believe that you may have had some interactions with these internally displaced persons. You know, every day we're talking about the insecurity challenges, and of course, with more insecurity challenges in the country, we would see more people pushed into internally displaced persons camp. But can you share with us a picture of what that reality looks like for the Nigerians who have to unfortunately live like this?
Well, it's troubling, but before that, maybe, Julia, I hope I got your name right. Maybe we need to talk to Honorable Commissioner to switch to Zoom if we keep having problems with this connection, because it's important that he speaks to these issues. He has the statistics. I don't have the accurate statistics, but I do have some very well-meaning information around the situation with IDP, whether it's in the electoral process or in empowerment or even reintegration of these IDP people in the camp into their mainstream communities and society. We do have a huge problem in our hands. The numbers are staggering. The interventions are dwindling, and in most cases, they are nowhere to be found, because sometimes the situation is such that the interventions are underfunded.
Yep.
You know,
all right.
Sometimes the situation is being able to know the accurate figure and to reach the people who needs it. But the situation is troubling, whether it's children in the camp, women in the camp, persons with disability. The situation, I think, is one of the things that I will say requires the president to, you know, probably call for a state of emergency in that area. That means we need to do something real quick. For us as an organization, you know, in the electoral space, we had to work with INEC to formulate a policy that would allow many of them who are eligible to vote. Even at that, there are still issues that we're dealing with. So it is a troubling situation, and something that I believe that the current minister and Honorable Tijani, sitting down with a number of their staff, will begin to find a lasting solution. And I want to say that this is just the beginning of this conversation. There's a whole lot to unravel. There's a whole lot to for you journalists to look at and present the issues.
Mr. Epelle,
I mean,
yeah. So can you hold on? You know, so we can get the views from the commissioner himself. You know, let's go on a very short break and see if we can fix the sound connection, and then when we come back, we'll have the commissioner.
Welcome back to the conversation. We're joined now by the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Aliyu Tijani Ahmed, who's the Honorable Federal Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. Welcome to the show. We're hoping that the connection is solid now. At the start of the conversation, I'd asked the question about what the exact picture is regarding, the status of, for example, the internally displaced persons. The numbers are saying 1.6 million in Borno State. But what is the true picture of what it looks like in these camps?
If, on a general note, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons is an agency, federal government agency, in charge of care, support for the displaced individuals, migrants, and refugees. Of course, people should also be aware that for some times now, or for many years now, we have been facing a lot of challenges in the area of displaced persons in Nigeria. As it is today, we have not less than about 6.1 million Nigerians that have been displaced across the country, with the increase in flooding that has occurred in 2022 and of recent one that occurred in Maiduguri. Of course, the number has risen. Some of the international partners may be talking about 3.1, 3.6. Those ones, they are making reference to displaced persons that are living in camps. There are many, more than the number of those that are living in the camps, that are living within the host communities. And that is why when you put all these numbers together, both the ones in the camp and the ones that are living within the host communities, you get not less than about 6.1 Nigerians that are being displaced. The National Commissions for Refugees, Migrants, Internally Displaced Persons have been trying to do the best it could to ensure that the displaced individuals were given succor, were given support, were given care, so that they cannot just be left unattended. As part of the methods that the agency is now doing is to provide durable solutions, because you cannot continue to be keeping displaced persons in camps. I don't think the government can continue to sponsor that kind of heavy financial burden. So the only way is to go for durable solutions. Many states are now working out to provide durable solutions, but the agency is also making effort in ensuring that durable solution is being provided to displaced individuals. Take for instance now, where we built some houses in so many areas across the country. We have houses which we refer to it as internally displaced person cities. We have one in Kano, we have one in Zamfara, we have one in Maiduguri, we have one in the South State. Like that, we are doing that to ensure those that who may not be able to go back to their place of destination, they can now be taken to this area for safety and to look after them. Any moment from now, the Commission is going to take some of these displaced individuals that are living around Abuja area to Kefi, because we have a settlement city there in Kefi. And the next 1-2 weeks, we are taking them to Kefi, provide them with all the necessary care and support. In the cities there, we build schools. We also build a skill acquisition center. We also provided a police station there, and then with a mini market. So that I think for those that are going to stay there, will have their life to live. And instead of providing them this time around, they should be able to provide for themselves after necessary assistance and care from the agency.
Yeah, but just to be clear, what is the average length of time that we've had these numbers? We're talking about 6.1 million Nigerians. How long on the average have these camps existed? And what has the Commission really done to reduce these numbers in maybe the last 10 years?
Come again?
I'm asking how long on the average have we had these numbers? We're talking about 6.1 million Nigerians that are currently displaced or living in IDP camps. How long on the average have they been there, and has the Commission taken any steps to reduce these numbers in the last maybe 5 to 10 years?
The Commission has been making effort. That's why I said, as it is today, we have constructed resettlement cities in about 6 to 7 states across the Federation. And we intend to remove these people from the camp and then settle them in these constructed cities. And I've also told you that in the cities we were able to make provision for skill acquisition center there, where we will train some of them and then teach them some trade, and then they can live their life. And also, equally, we have a mini market there. And then we, close to the city, we have also provided lands there. So I said the next 2, 3, 4 days, we are going to evacuate some of them that are living here in Abuja, in Durumi, in Kabusa, to Kefi, where we have a nearby settlement cities which was built by the Commission. The Commission is doing that in order to reduce the number of displaced persons that are living in the camp. These are some of them.
So the possibility of them returning home, is that a part of the conversation that is being had at all? Will these people ever return to what they used to call home? Because moving from Abuja to Kefi, is once again, changing whatever location that they used to know as home. Are they ever going to be able to return back home?
Yes, I think effort is being made. Take, for instance, many of these displaced persons are coming from Borno State, Yobe, and Adamawa states, particularly these three states in the northeast. And a lot of houses were built by both the federal government and the Borno State government to take all the displaced persons, wherever they are, back home. And not only the displaced persons, because you find the displaced persons, some in Nigeria, and some have crossed over the country and become refugees elsewhere. Take for instance, when you go to Cameroon today, you find not less than about 53,000 Nigerians that are living in Cameroon as refugees. The same thing in Niger, and also in Chad. So effort is being made by the federal government vis-a-vis the Borno State government and other state governments to ensure that these people were returned home. We have built houses in Maiduguri, but specifically in Nawa camp in Maiduguri, and then we also have some in Banki, over 600 houses in Banki. As soon as the renovation has been completed, we will relocate them back home. Many of them were from Goza local government, that is around Banki areas, and that was why we built houses in Banki. The state government also, Borno State government has also built some houses around the Banki areas, all in an effort to ensure that these displaced individuals were returned back home. So effort is being made by both the federal government and state governments.
Do we have
in January, in February next month, around the 19th, 29th, we are going to 19th. We are going to have meetings with all the affected states under the leadership of the Borno governor of Yobe State. So effort is being made by both the federal government and the state government to ensure that these displaced individuals were returned back home.
Okay, that's great news to hear. Before we bring in Mr. Epelle, I'd just like to ask again, do we have a timeline for when we're expecting this to happen?
Soon. I told you that in the next 1 week, we are removing some of those that are living here in Abuja and return them to our resettlement cities in Kefi, because it is correct to say that some of these displaced individuals, having left their places of abode for more than 10, 15 years, they might not want to return back. So for those that are not intending to return back to their ancestral homes, we made provision for them in the resettlement cities where they can live their life there. Everything has been provided in the cities there.
All right, let's now bring in Mr. Epelle into the conversation. You've heard the Honorable Commissioner, the plans that are being made. We don't have a timeline yet. He says this will happen soon. I'd like to get your thoughts. I mean, you've made a number of suggestions as well. You also highlighted voters' rights of the internally displaced persons, which I hope that the Honorable Commissioner will speak to before the end of this conversation. What are the other key areas that you think the government must focus on as they're having these meetings with these persons? He specified a meeting happening in February. So what are the key areas you think that should be highlighted?
Thank you very much. I think Honorable did give some timelines, and I heard him say in a week's time, the people in Abuja will be relocated. February 19th, he talked about another intervention in another location. However, I do have a bit of a concern. One, there's a need to invest in reorientation of these IDP people in IDP camps. There's a need to interact with them and counsel them and persuade some of them in a more subtle but very soft manner to really go back. Most of them don't want to go back, and I don't blame them, because their houses are destroyed, their lives distorted. They are going back to nothing. I've interacted with some of them that have lived in that camp for 15 years, for close to 20 years. They said, I have no place to go, So there's a need to invest in some form of reorientation, which I think my good friend is investing in. But there's a need to also ask NGOs like ours, government establishment, NOA, to invest in sensitization of these individuals, in order to rebuild their lives by rebuilding their mind. The other thing is, which is of a huge concern to me, listening to Honorable, is we need to be very careful so that we don't end up creating a reclusive cities, cities where these individuals are confined to themselves and there is no interaction. I would expect, and I think Honorable would listen, that city be an inclusive city, not just for IDP camp members, but for other members of the society, so that the ID, whoever would inherit those cities will not feel that this is another concentration camp, another way of just tossing them in one corner and forgetting them. I think we should aim at building an inclusive city and ensuring that everyone concerned are catered for. These are Nigerians, for goodness sake. They deserve the best that this country can offer.
Yeah. Ms. Epelle, just to stay with you, and this is what I was trying to get, from the commissioner. I'm sure he's still, maybe still will still speak on it. But what I'm trying to get, because for me, the most important part of all of it and the work of the commission, as much as they are taking care of these Nigerians in IDP camps and ensuring that they live, to some extent, a decent quality of life while they live there. But the most important, part for the Nigerian government is to, get these people back to home, what they used to call home. And so in Borno State and in other states that have been affected by insurgency and the different reasons that these people have moved to IDP camps, do we have a Nigeria currently, under the current administration, that promises that these places are safe enough for these people to return home? And for whatever other reasons that, have sent these people, humanitarian crisis, it could be because of flooding as well, that some of these, their homes were destroyed. Have these places been put back in shape for them to return home? And I believe that that should be the target of the Commission and the Nigerian government. So, Ms. Epelle, do you think that we've done well enough in that regard, or the government has?
Look, I started my statement my opening statement by saying that everything rises and falls on leadership. I believe these two leaders, Honorable Tijani, I'm not their spokesperson, but I'm just presenting the
yes, I understand that.
Yeah, I believe two of them are good, great strategic thinkers. And based on my interactions with them, I can see and look beyond their lips that they do have a workable strategy. I mean, one of the things that Tijani said here was relocating some group of people that they know is from certain area to that very area where they come from. I think that's a laudable strategy. And like I said, I am concerned, as an inclusion development expert, I am concerned that these camps or cities, I like the fact that he didn't call it camp, these cities must be inclusive. In other words, it shouldn't just be these IDP people living in that area. Otherwise, we will have a reclusive city. However, in answer to your question, somebody like the Minister for Humanitarian, I'm glad that you guys will have the opportunity to engage him on your channel. I believe he has a very strategic data and data analysis of the situation of which is needful. It's not just embarking on intervention, but embarking on intervention with knowledge, with data. There's a need to really interrogate those cities to ensure it will not become another danger zone where terrorists will invade and then cut away human beings like they are cutting away furniture. I believe that Honorable Tijani, who is also listening to me, will take all this into cognizance. I don't think they would have built that city without taking into consideration the security implication. And even when that is done, there's a need to ensure that there is proper and modern technology that will monitor the city so that they don't end up putting the inhabitants in danger. I do agree with you, there's a need for proper security assessment so that we know that the people will be safe, so that we don't take them from fry pan to fire, like they say. So I do agree with you, there's a need for proper security assessment and ensure that there is security in the place before they are even relocated. So I think maybe the Honorable will speak to that, but it's a very valid point and should be taken into consideration.
Okay, Honorable, whilst you speak to that, talking about also the plans that have been made to help them reintegrate into society, I'd like you to also touch on something that Mr. Epelle had spoken about earlier, which is the right of these people to vote and how we can ensure that those rights are being guaranteed. So if you can please address these issues.
Epelle to understand is that we are not building the settlement cities in a far bush away from people. Neither are we building it in a forest. These settlement cities is situated side by side a host community. Take, for instance, the one I'm talking about, the Kefi one. It's just in between Pionku and then Yerkande. Normally, as an agency in charge of these displaced individuals, we don't put people where there is risk. You cannot remove people from the risky area, and then you put them again in a very risky area, and without adequate provisions. Provision is made to ensure that their security is guaranteed, and that's why there is a police post in the settlement cities. We also consider the issue of their health, and that's why we have a clinic built within the city. And then we also build a market, at least for them to transact and get economic power. And not only that, we also build churches and mosques for them to observe their prayers there. So it is a complete city, guided, safeguarded, with police post provision, with clinic, with water, with light. Everything is provided in that city. And the city is situated.
Yeah. How many people can this city? How many people can this city take?
A community called Yerkande, and then Pianku, where we have the students of National State University living.
Yeah, Honorable Commissioner, how many people is this city meant to accommodate?
It's going to take about 50 households, and if you are talking about 50 households, each household will contain about 6 persons. So 6 times 50.
That'll be about 300.
You get about 300. So we are taking 300 out the camp now. So gradually, as we go along, we remove everybody from the camp. And not only that, we also provided a center for skill acquisition. And then there is a barren land there around the city. For those of them who are farmers, they can go there and farm.
Yeah. Also,
arrangement between the agency and the host communities were already been done. Were already been concluded.
Yeah. Also, just to be clear, how many states have these IDP camps currently in Nigeria?
We have not less than 136 IDP camps in Nigeria.
106.
136.
136. Okay. And that includes in the southern part of the country.
That is particularly in the northern part of the country.
Okay.
But there are also some in the eastern part as a result of climate change, flooding that affected so many communities. But the only difference is that those who are living in the southern part of the country, they are living within the host communities.
Right. Okay. We certainly thank you very much for sharing these plans for these people. Taking 300 is a great step, but we still have a long way to go. And we'll continue to highlight the needs of these internally displaced persons because they are as Nigerian as every one of us who is currently on this set and everyone who's watching. Thank you so much, Jake Epelle, for joining us. And thank you very much, Mr. Aliyu Tijani Ahmed, the Honorable Commissioner, for joining us this morning.